The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Steven Sonnenberg with Veterans in Politics. We're going to have two very exciting guests today, and the topic is, what's the topic? Family court.
Family court.
We're going to have Don Johnson. He's going to talk about the unethical behavior of Bryce Duckworth.
He does actually kind of look like Don Johnson, actually.
From Miami Vice.
Miami Vice, yeah.
And then we're going to...
Miami's in my mind today because of the hurricane.
So yeah.
That's what made me think.
And then William Robertson, he's going to talk about the unethical behavior of Linda Markey.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody got any rants?
I just, I'd like to just have all of our thoughts and prayers go out to all the people down in Houston and down in Florida. So, with all the hurricanes hitting and all the people that have been displaced from homes and businesses and schools, and it's a pretty bad deal down there. So, just thoughts and prayers go out to them.
Amen to that. White people live in Florida. Every year this happens, right?
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I want to live in Miami, and I'm like, oh.
I just want to go visit the Florida Keys. Bet should be a good time right now. It'd be pretty cheap, huh?
I can't be packing up every year and
I was going
moving
to
out.
say, it seems like a vacation spot to me. I don't know if I'd live there or not, though. It's kind of like I'm heading down to San Diego on Tuesday. I wouldn't live in San Diego, but it's a fun place.
No, I used to live down in that area.
I wouldn't live anywhere in California.
Too expensive.
Yeah, they're it's overcrowded and overpriced is what I call California.
Oh.
But so, Jim, you got something, right?
Yeah. So earlier on in the week, I kind of got myself in a little bit of a back and forth with a friend of the show and somebody I actually consider a friend, Christine DeCourt.
Wow.
She had posted something about, do you remember Elizabeth Halseth? And so I responded to her. I said, yes, I do. And
How could we not?
and she had pointed out a bunch of things that she had done, disrespect the party and all the people that worked hard for her and her campaign. And so I said, well, I think everybody deserves a second chance. I wasn't defending anything that Elizabeth Halseth had done.
Mm-hmm.
I said everybody deserves a second chance. And I think it's pretty telling, and I'm a Republican, of the Republican Party to have such a sanctimonious attitude against Elizabeth Halseth now that, she's taken a step back. She's apologized for what she's done. She's moved on with her life. Mm-hmm. I did not defend any of the things that she did. But then, so Christine DeCourt comes back and says, Jim Jonas, shame on you for name calling. And she disrespected the party and all the people that worked hard to get her elected. Mm-hmm. I said, well, I don't give a damn if she disrespected the party or the people that got her elected or not. More concerned about she disrespected herself. She disrespected her family. She disrespected the voters. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was more concerned about.
Right.
I don't really care if she disrespected the party or not. Mm-hmm. And I told Christine, I said, this is one of the reasons why I don't involve myself in inter-party politics anymore. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why I don't go to CCRP meetings. I have nothing against Mike McDonald. Mm-hmm. He's a friend of mine. I like the guy, but I do not go to state party functions.
We're talking about the state chairman.
Yeah, state chairman. I just stay away from that stuff. So she came back and she said, shame on you. You need to put that own stuff on your own wall. And I feel like you've disrespected the Republican Party. And I said, well, honestly, I think the Republican Party has disrespected me and a lot of people over the years. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking more for, I think Elizabeth deserves a second chance. It's up to the voters whether they want to elect her or not, whether they want to forgive her for past misdeeds or not. That's up to the voters.
I'm looking forward to it. She's running for Senate, right?
Yeah, State Senate 8. Has nothing to do with the party or whether the party thinks she's good or not. I really don't care. And then that kind of rolls into a lot of Republicans upset with Trump because he made a compromise with the Democrats to raise the debt ceiling to get $15 billion of aid immediately to hurricane victims in Houston and now in Florida. And there's a lot of Republicans that are upset at him about doing that. Well, we were going to raise the damn debt ceiling anyway. We do all the time. So why not? He did what he said he was going to do. He made a compromise. Now, a lot of people are going to get immediate relief. Okay? So he didn't play politics with it.
Party politics.
He's going to do what's right by the American people. He said he was going to do that when he first started running. So that's my rant. I mean, I just get frustrated with Republicans and Democrats alike. Like, you're elected to do a job to take care of your constituents.
Right.
It has nothing to do about taking care of your party.
Right.
It's about the constituents. And that just really frustrates me. So that was my rant. It was a little long, and I apologize
It was
to the
long.
guest.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, look, as a registered Republican, if I can make a deal with a Democrat that's going to help the constituents, then that's the grown-up thing to do, and I commend Donald Trump for doing it.
Okay. Well, you're done with yours, right?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man.
Oh, well, I got one.
All right, let's hear it.
So, you guys know that we've been involved in this family court thing for quite some time. I think we started when November, December of last year. I forget. Probably was a little early than that. Well, apparently, I'm going to be in tomorrow's paper. It was an online thing that came out today from the RJ, and it was a back and forth with Judge Duckworth, who we highly regarded at one particular time.
I was gonna say, I thought you and
Ourselves.
Bryce were friends.
Ourselves, and now not so much. Apparently, I mean, with it all said and done, if any intelligent person that wasn't biased looked at the videos in his courtroom, would realize that this judge, district court judge, who's governed by ethics and laws, used his bench to discredit the voters that are against the corruption in family court. For a judge to retaliate and use his bench, that says a lot about the judge, that he's an asshole. Okay? Judge Duckworth, you're an asshole for using that bench to retaliate against what we're doing. What we're doing is trying to expose corruption in Clark County Family Court. And if you say there's no corruption in Clark County Family Court, you're more of an asshole than I thought you were. Okay? You use your bench to discredit the voters that are against corruption in Clark County Family Court. A lot of you guys fail to follow the Constitution. You fail to follow Nevada revised statutes. You fail to follow your own canon laws and rules and regulations. If you want to be a legislator, step down from the bench and go run for state senate or run for assembly. You don't legislate from the bench. You don't use that stupid ass discretion that you guys are bringing to the bench. You don't bring your religion to the bench. You don't bring your personal upbringing to the bench. Your job is to enforce the law. Now, when I sat before you and I watched you discredit veterans in politics and myself for having court observers observe the courtroom, I thought you were very foolish. You said that we're recruiting disgruntled litigants. How do you know that? You said that we write one side of the articles, we don't look at both sides of the litigants. How do you know that? And you know what? I really want to know, how is that related to the Ansel case that you dragged me into? How does that relate to that? How does us being a disgruntled litigant and writing one side of an article have anything to do with why I was there? You used the bench to discredit us. For that, Judge Duckworth, you should not be on that bench anymore. And I hope the Nevada Judicial Discipline Commission just booted your ass off. I had a lot of respect for you. I've known you over 9 years. I thought you were a highly regarded judge. But like the rest of us, I was also blinded. Now, Judge Duckworth, I'm seeing right through you. You should get off that bench. That's my rant.
Very good rant.
Well, folks, we're going to take a commercial break. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, Steven Sonnenberg. We're Veterans in Politics. And we're going to come on with William Robinson, who's going to talk about the unethical behavior of Family Court Judge Linda Markey. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon. This is Jim Jonas, host of Veterans in Politics. We are a video and internet radio show, live every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Television. Our mission is to educate, organize, and awaken our veterans and their families to select, support, and intelligently vote for those candidates whom would help create a better world to protect ourselves from our own governments in a culture of corruption, and to be the political voice for those and other groups who do not have one. So listen to us live every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Television. Or, if you miss that opportunity, it's okay. You can listen and watch our archive broadcast by going to www.www.dbtv.com, or simply Google Veterans in Politics and it will link you right over. It will also give you a list of our upcoming shows, so you can do some research and call in to ask questions. The number is 702-685-8380. If you truly want to be informed and make educated voting decisions, Veterans in Politics is the place to go. We are nonpartisan, have no agenda but to help you get the information you need to make an educated voting decision. Remember, the person who doesn't educate themselves and exercise their right to vote is only adding to corruption in government. Don't be that person. Listen every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. to Veterans in Politics. For more information regarding VIPI, visit www.veteransinpolitics.org.
Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Steven Sonnenberg of Veterans in Politics. We're here with William Robinson, and he's going to talk about the unethical behavior of Clark County Family Court Judge Linda Markey. Mr. Robinson, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, glad you're here. Tell us about you.
I've been here 18 years, originally from California, and started working in construction, have 2 kids.
How old?
I have a 21-year-old in U.S. Army, and then I have my 10-year-old daughter that I've been in litigation for the last 6 years trying to get custody and doing the right thing for her.
You think 6 years is a long time?
Yes, it has. It's been very expensive, and it's been very difficult.
Out of pocket, how much are you?
Probably about $150,000.
That's about right.
Over the 6 years between
You
the
could have put that
divorce.
towards your child's education.
Exactly. And, first it was hard losing her the first way. We went on a family vacation back in 2011, and we went to New Hampshire, my ex-wife and I and my daughter, and she didn't want to come back home, left with a suitcase. And it started with Judge
So
Charles
your ex-wife kidnapped your daughter?
Yes.
Where did she take her?
Took her to New Hampshire, and time the litigation got through, she was equivalent of our being in New Hampshire long enough to be a New Hampshire citizen or resident, excuse me. And so went through the divorce, and before the divorce was even done, Charles Hoskin had his decision made up before the divorce was even done that she can keep her and it's not kidnapping. So,
Really?
Yes.
Were you abusive?
Nope.
Were you neglectful?
Nope.
Are you a felon?
No.
Are you a druggie?
No. Nothing. I coached my son 13 years in football. When my ex-wife had my daughter, I said, "Why don't you stay home and take care of our daughter, so you don't have to go back to work?" I was an apprentice at the time in construction and going to school during the boom of Las Vegas, building City Center. I was there for 4 years, busting my ass, working the dream. And my ex-wife had it set up with her girlfriend that she's known since high school, and her girlfriend, they've had a bisexual relationship. And I found about all this after the divorce. I found her ex-husband through Facebook, and he's in town, and he was with her. It was like talking to myself in a mirror. Same stories. The only thing they didn't have is a kid, and she did the same thing to him. Went back to New Hampshire to go see her friend. Wouldn't come back. He had to beg her for 5 weeks to come back, and she finally came back. And then he was being sent off to Iraq and Kuwait, and he was finding things on the computer that weren't right, and he put a keystroke on the computer, and she was doing online prostitution, meeting guys online and having them when they're flying out and meeting them at hotels. Had no clue.
Did you bring this up in court?
Yes.
And
Wasn't used.
I want to stop you right there, and we're going to get back to. I want to talk a little bit about the relocation. Did you have an evidentiary hearing?
We had a hearing. The first attorney I had, John Gordon, he was trying to go off the whole thing of kidnapping, where she had to return it but didn't return it. I didn't like the direction he was going.
Right.
Then I hired Pecos Law Group,
Right.
And they were trying to go like Mr. Rogers route. And then I didn't like how they were going, so I hired Preston Razee and all this. I had piles of evidence and nothing. They didn't want to use it.
Do you know that there's certain guidelines the judge has to follow for relocation? One is that is going to bring significant finances to the upbringing of the child. Another one is significant family members that's going to reside where the child is going. Another one is there's some special treatment the child need. Let's say the child needed some type of kidney treatment and some special needs, that wherever the child is moving that's going to take care of it. Another one is some significant with their education. Maybe they're slow in certain areas and they go to this school is going to really increase their education. So these are the guidelines they have to look at before they could say relocation is approved. Did they look at any of those, or what was the excuse to relocate?
Where we were talking about maybe relocating to Boston, transferring, things were starting to slow down here. We talked about it. It was this talk, and I look at it. I just turned out in 2010. It was the year before this all went down, as a mechanic in my union, and transferring is not easy from union to union into getting transfers. And I told her this. I said, I'm open-minded to it, but I wasn't going to go for it. She already had her mind made up, had a job set up, everything behind my back. And we had returning plane tickets to come back. In it was May of 2011. She didn't want to get on the plane, and then I kept on texting her, calling her, "You got to come back home." And I texted her, and it said, "You're digging your own grave by not coming back." Well, digging your own grave is a death threat. So she went to New Hampshire and filed a restraining order on me. They slapped a restraining order on me.
They have no jurisdiction.
It was a text message. She was in New Hampshire. She was all set up.
But you don't live there, though.
No, I don't live there, but I had to go there. But saying you're digging your own grave is a death threat.
No, it can be.
And they used it against me. That was the first step, so they could use it in family court.
That could be anything.
And
I wouldn't look at it as a death threat.
Oh, I know. It wasn't a death threat. It was a figure of speech.
Yeah.
You're digging your own grave.
Yeah.
I've had it just, it was a setup between her and her girlfriend to go to court, and that's what they were trying to use. He's abusive and all this, and there was no case of abuse with her at all whatsoever. And it was all a setup. And
you don't have a criminal record
none.
for violence or anything like that, right?
So,
You own weapons?
no. don't believe him. I wasn't even raised with guns. My mom wouldn't buy me any toy guns, cowboy guns. Wouldn't buy me.
So
that.
all this basically was allegations, and there was no proof.
No proof. So we went to court, and we were in litigation for 3 hours in front of Charles Hoskin, and it was in the later afternoon, and he's like, we got to continue this 2 days later. Well, she had a flight of red-eye the next day. She reached over to her attorney and says, I'm leaving. Okay. So she upped and left and went back to New Hampshire before there was a decision. That's indicating the judge already had a decision,
Right.
and she took my kid with her. So before it was even done, she took my kid back to New Hampshire, and then I filed with the Supreme Court, and then that went in for a year and a half of appeal, and they did it over Skype, and she sold them. She's like a car salesman, can sell ice to Eskimos, and basically giving them all the story. She has a better life. Well, she has no family in New Hampshire. Her dad lives in Columbus, Ohio. No family whatsoever. My daughter has her grandmother here, her uncle here. She has a brother that was here at the time, and up and left. And it was, of course, like, okay.
How often do you see your daughter?
I see her every summer for 6 weeks. I see her every other Christmas. I see her.
So you're just like a weekend or holiday dad?
Holiday dad. And what sucks is New Hampshire's holidays aren't your normal holidays. Normal holidays with school districts, you usually get like a week off for Thanksgiving.
But basically, taking away your daughter is like a civil death.
And it's expensive. And when this first started, I had to fly and go get her, and then fly back. And
she's how old?
She's 10 now, and this started when she was 4.
Hey, I know that, and I want to thank you very much for coming on, but I just know how time gets short real quick in these shows. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, I'm very big on as far as like trying to give everything that's happened to you is very unfortunate. Do you have any advice or something you would have done differently to stop getting to this point to begin with, so that therefore other people won't have to go? Because once you get in, let's just face it, once you get into the court system, things get just crazy real quick.
I believed in justice,
No.
and there's no such thing.
No.
And attorneys aren't there for your best interest. They're there to basically suck you dry. And
So how do you avoid getting to the point where you need attorneys? Was there any way in your case, would you give any suggestions to anybody else that might be going through just the beginning of what you...
It's a crapshoot with the attorneys. It really is. I've had so many different attorneys, and I've had people, recommend this guy's great, and blah, 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 and they're not. It's just, it comes down, they feed off your emotions. I'm to the point, I'm just using a paralegal. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And representing myself, I've been around the courts enough to understand, they try to use their, legal, jargon, and, you try to understand, but all I have to do is ask the judge to explain it to you. But unfortunately, with family court, they don't want to deal with you if you don't have an attorney. And I came across this last May and June with Judge Marquis. And, why I'm in front of Marquis, and I've been in front of Marquis for the last couple of years, is my daughter came at age 7 and 8 with her vagina inflamed in the summer. And I took her to an urgent care center to see what was wrong. They said, if you want to do a sex kit, you got to go to an emergency center. And I didn't have the heart to do that to my little girl, for them to go down and, do all that. Yeah. So a friend of ours recommended a doctor to see, and he's been in Las Vegas for 30 years, Dr. Hopper. And he was seeing her the first summer when she was 7, didn't have enough time to really make an assessment. Then the following summer, he did an assessment, and then he did emergency stay order. And that's when we first saw, I want to believe it was Judge Sanchez, but she retired, and then we got Lynn McGee right afterwards. And, trying to get in.
I wish we could have more of Gloria O'Malley or Gloria Sanchez.
Oh yeah, she saw through the BS.
Very good judge.
She
Very
said
fair.
if there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
She saw it, but I didn't have her long enough to get through it. And we got Marquis, and we went in front of the court. I had the emergency stay order in front of Marquis. Her attorney, just a real bitch and a half, still dealing with her.
What's her name?
It is McFarland Law Group.
Okay.
So, but she comes in and says, "Oh, why didn't you go to CPS?"
She flipped me off the other day.
Oh, did she? With her high heels and stuff. Yeah, she's something. I'll get more to her, but so I had this stay order. She's like, "Oh, why didn't you call CPS?" And I'm like, "Here you go. The doctor sees there's a sign. He did all these tests. There's the sexual history right there." You look at a little kid grinding on the couch, masturbating, watching discovered porn, obsessive watching porn.
How old?
7 and 8 years old. Not normal.
No.
In the pool, French kissed my wife. She would be in the pool. She'd grind on my leg. These aren't normal things for a kid to be doing.
No.
And trying to point all these things out. Oh, no. Nope. And it just, it's just, normal. And now I'm dealing with, she's 10 years old. She's a habitual liar.
Mm-hmm.
And I had her this summer, and, trying to figure out, she has never admitted what has happened. And a lot of kids don't. They don't know what it is.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, this summer, putting some things together, and I'm not accusing them, but I just thought it was weird. My daughter goes, "Oh, I like to massage shoulders." I'm like, "Where did you learn that?" "Oh, my stepdad."
So did you bring all this up to Marquis?
Yeah.
And how was
But the
her
problem
reaction?
is we never made it to trial because it just,
So let me get this straight. So Hoskins did the relocation, right?
yes.
So you're without child, and Marquis was this an emergency hearing or?
It was emergency stay order to keep my daughter.
Right.
And she.
Oh, so you had daughter in your custody. She came to visit,
Yeah, that's.
and then you wanted to keep her here.
Yes.
Okay.
And this was 2 years ago, and she was 8.
Right.
And she just sent her. Adios. Go send her
She
back.
sent her
with mom.
back. She
Sent her-
didn't order any type of mental health evaluation
What they
or
originally,
CPS or
she
anything like that?
wanted to send me with their court doctors, which Lynn Kite and
I've heard of him.
which
The overpriced. They're all
arm and a
overpriced.
leg.
All these court appointed. You think when you hear the word court appointed, you think there'll be like a fee decrease?
Yeah.
It's a fee increase.
It just put out the jar.
And I think it's fee increase to give judges campaign donations when it's time for reelection is what I'm thinking.
It was $13,000 to evaluate my daughter.
Oh my God! You
It's
paid
just
the full
ridiculous.
amount or was it split?
No, it was $13,000. He wanted it right there, and I said, forget it.
They wanted it right there.
Yeah.
So you
13
just have that in your.
No, that's.
Were you a pro se litigant?
What's that now?
Were you a pro se litigant?
What's that mean?
Did
didn't
you
have an
represent
attorney.
yourself?
I had, who was the attorney then? It was Eric Roy at the time, my attorney.
Oh, I know him.
So, but it just, he was worthless.
Okay.
He was put on this high pedestal by another attorney I went
How
to.
much did you pay him?
$26,000, and he wanted another $7,000. Got me nowhere.
I've heard that story before from somebody else.
And check this out. You want a story? This.
Bunch of thieves.
Oh, you
I'm
want to talk
telling
about
ya.
thieves?
Hey,
Thanks.
why you think they're upset
I
with this
know.
war against family
It's-
court?
I'm sorry, I don't cuss, but it's
That's
fucking
a
bullshit.
that's a damper in the pocketbook,
bullshit.
brother.
You ever
Come
heard
on, it's
of
all
an
about
attorney?
money.
Jesus,
it's all
it just pisses
family
me off.
court is all about money. If you don't get
Exactly.
that, you're stupid.
You ever seen an attorney call you
while,
on
while you're grieving, they're robbing your pocketbooks.
You ever seen an attorney call you on a Sunday afternoon wanting money from their personal cell phone?
No, my attorneys don't do that.
This was Thanksgiving weekend. I had my kid. I was at the airport, taking her to the airport. He's calling me up. I need $4,000. Keep on going. Keep going. I'm like, okay. I put on the credit card. I went, so after I dropped her off at McCarran to go back to New Hampshire, I went over there and paid him $4,000. Then he comes up with a cockamamie.
Did you get a receipt?
Yeah, I got the receipt. Then he wanted to do a whole deposition, $13,000 deposition on her, and all she basically did was plead the fifth. That was a joke. Did it over Skype with her attorney there. Solved. It got nothing. It's just blowing money.
These attorneys, they might have a menu, and each, for everything there's a little price. And then don't be late because they'll charge you again.
Oh yeah. So between him and McFarland, motion, counter motion, motion, it just was delaying the process,
Right.
and we never made it to trial. And we were at 26,000. He wanted another 7. I'm like, forget it.
Okay.
So we never made it to trial. And then last year, because we were supposed to go to trial last year,
Mm-hmm.
then she went crying to Judge Marquis and saying, I want attorney fees. And her attorney fees were at 40,000.
Mm-hmm.
And
Of course, Marquis gave it to her, right?
gave her half of it, gave her
Yeah.
18. So
She'll get it back at a campaign donation. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And the $18,000, she told her to write the judgment. Judge Marquis wrote the judgment. My ex signed off on the judgment. Then last October, she did a writ of garnishment on my bank accounts, and I got the text message, hey, money was taken out, dealt with Wells Fargo, and they took out $300. I didn't have a lot of money in there. They took money out, and I asked, where's the paperwork? She never sent me the paperwork what she was doing, but I got the paperwork from Wells Fargo that she sent to
Right.
Wells Fargo that she is the creditor. She wrote down on her judgment that she is the creditor.
All right. William, for time purposes, just point out how Judge Marquis violated the law.
Violated the law just this last May and June. I tried to get my child support adjusted and figured out between New Hampshire and Clark County, and they had two different amounts. And I used a paralegal to write a motion to go in front of the court to get it clarified. For her to clarify it, she threw it out. Then
Why? What was the reason?
there wasn't enough, and I had a decrease of over 25% in income in the last year to have it changed.
Right.
And she's like, nope, don't want to see it, threw it out. Then I rewrote the motion again with my paralegal, that day that was canceled, put a new one in, and then
Were you a pro se litigant at that time?
representing myself. And then
That's probably why she didn't want to listen to you.
then I put another one in. So I get a bill, the first hearing of $995 for attorney fees for McFarland. Then yesterday I just got a
So,
bill.
so you're in there representing yourself because you can't afford an attorney to represent
Exactly.
you, but you're going to pay for opposing parties' attorney.
That's
That
right.
makes a whole lot of sense to me.
And then I got a bill yesterday for the second hearing.
I
for
can't eat.
$245.
I can't eat, so I gotta pay for somebody else to eat, and I can't even feed my own self.
Exactly. How is
That's
that?
ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah. How do they get away with it? How does Marquis get away doing something illegal that way?
Just real quick, did you have to pay? Because I had a friend of mine have something similar happen between Oregon and Nevada. Did you have to pay child support by both states?
Yes, because she filed something with the state of New Hampshire. That's how the New Hampshire's in it. But I deal with Clark County personally because I live in Clark County. But that's another joke in itself. And they're constantly switching their agents out, every 10 months. But they couldn't get the story straight. I just wanted Marquis to figure out one had this amount, one had this amount, fix the problem. That's what a judge is supposed to do.
So in a 365 days in a year, how often do you see your child?
I see you're probably equivalent of 8 weeks.
Yeah, that's the best interest for children, isn't it?
It's not.
And they go with this catchphrase, the best interest for children.
Plus, you figure I'm paying child support. Plus, we have to pay each. We flip flop and paying airfare, and to pay for airfare to send her unaccompanied minor from Boston to Las Vegas is usually about $1,000.
Usually, the party that leaves is the party supposed to pay for the transportation of the child.
Nope, I paid the majority of it.
Well,
Plus
Mr.
child support.
Plus child support. Well, Mr. Robinson, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on and sharing your story, and keep fighting. Oh,
I
you
will.
coming to the protest September 15th?
September 15th. I gotta look on the calendar.
That's Friday,
Friday.
between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Okay.
in front of Family. The one side. Oh, you know where it is.
I know where it's. I just gotta look at court dates because I got another court date with on October 5th. I just it's like trying to pay attention
Right.
because I'm in two different courts because
Right.
I filed bankruptcy on that motion
Right.
of the judgment of 18,000.
Right. Well, that's what family court does to you. It bankrupts you.
Yeah.
The
It
family
bankrupted
court and bankruptcy court go hand
It
in hand.
bankrupted me, and but on top of it, they went into litigation. She hired a litigating attorney to screw with my bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's been going on. I've started bankruptcy in February. It's still going on to October 5th.
Well, thank you for coming
you.
on. Folks, that's William Robinson. He was talking about the unethical behavior of Clark County Family Court Judge Linda Marquis. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Steven Sonnenberg with Veterans in Politics. But don't go away. We're going to have Don Johnson, Major Don Johnson, former Army veteran, Iraq. He's going to talk about the unethical behavior of, guess who? Bryce Duckworth. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon. This is Jim Jonas, host of Veterans in Politics. We are a video and internet radio show, live every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Television. Our mission is to educate, organize, and awaken our veterans and their families to select, support, and intelligently vote for those candidates whom would help create a better world to protect ourselves from our own governments in a culture of corruption, and to be the political voice for those and other groups who do not have one. So listen to us live every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Television. Or, if you miss that opportunity, it's okay. You can listen and watch our archive broadcast by going to www.www.dbtv.com, or simply Google Veterans in Politics and it will link you right over. It will also give you a list of our upcoming shows, so you can do some research and call in to ask questions. The number is 702-685-8380. If you truly want to be informed and make educated voting decisions, Veterans in Politics is the place to go. We are nonpartisan, have no agenda but to help you get the information you need to make an educated voting decision. Remember, the person who doesn't educate themselves and exercise their right to vote is only adding to corruption in government. Don't be that person. Listen every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. to Veterans in Politics. For more information regarding VIPI, visit www.veteransinpolitics.org.
Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, Steven Sonnenberg with Veterans in Politics. We're here live with Don Johnson, not the Hawaii 5-0 Don Johnson, but
That was
Major.
Miami Vice.
Oh, Miami Vice.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice.
Not Hawaii
19
5-0?
You know, like the 80s Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
Crockett and Tubbs.
Crockett and Tubbs. I remember with that convertible car.
Yeah, the Ferrari.
Oh, and they dress all flash.
Oh,
How
yeah.
they run after people with all that nice, dressing up and the little chain they got on and everything?
The alligator in the boat.
I'll get in the boat. But this is Army Major Don Johnson from the Afghanistan war, although I did say Iraq, but if you've been to one sandbox to the other, they all look the same to you. Just like when I was in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, we weren't there to sightsee or get trinkets. We were there to do a job, right?
That's correct. We were over there performing a mission.
All right, Major, could you tell us about yourself?
Absolutely. Originally from Michigan, moved to Las Vegas in 2006. Picked up a job with the Clark County School District. I was with the Nevada Army National Guard at the time.
Teacher, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And teaching biology, so I have approximately 15 years of teaching.
We have another teacher over there.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
I like to be around educators. They say I like to be around smart people because I can't stand dumb people. So they got to be smarter than me for me to even relate.
I don't understand why all you smart people are hanging around Steve, but we'll leave that for another show.
It's his charisma, his wit, the charm. But no, the way I look at it is with education, here we are, we're giving back to the future.
Right.
And hopefully the future is not as corrupt as some of us have already experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But having been a military officer, coach, educator, I like to think that I've assisted with our American youth.
Right.
Obviously protected and defended the Constitution, just as you have and many of others have as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just want to give back. Want to make sure that
That's
America, well, it's the way I was raised.
Right.
And just want to provide that opportunity for our future to make
Right.
America a better place.
You know, once you put on that uniform and then you come out of it, it's like something is missing, and you try to find your purpose again, and then some try and never find that purpose, and others do. And then it doesn't matter if it pays or if it doesn't pay, but if it makes you happy and you feel like you're being fulfilled within, then it works for you, you know. And a lot of people ask, you know, why do you do what you do? I said, because I feel that I have a higher calling. You know, it's not about money, although I've been saying I take money from litigants, and you're one of the litigants. How much money did I take from you?
Nothing.
So, and when people spread these rumors and these lies, it really piss me off. But I know it's designed to take me off track of the mission, and I just won't let it happen. I just keep moving forward and try to fix what's broken. You know.
You know, Stephen, I really appreciate that. I can't speak for anyone else, but I can definitely speak for myself.
Right.
It was kind of ironic. I had actually went to a third lawyer. I fired my first lawyer.
Who's your
hired
first
this-
lawyer?
Hank Gordon.
Okay. Who's your second lawyer?
John Kelleher.
Who's your third lawyer?
I didn't hire the third lawyer, but
You need one?
I'm sorry.
Do you need one?
Actually, I am in the process of
Okay.
appealing to the Nevada Supreme Court, so I guess technically I'm in the process of hiring a third lawyer.
Yeah,
But
you're gonna need one for that.
well, that's what I keep hearing. And John Kelleher said I don't do appeals, but we'll get more into that later. But you were speaking of your higher calling, and at one point I was thinking about suing the state. I had felt that my constitutional rights had been violated by Bryce Duckworth, and I had taken
That's Judge Bryce Duckworth, right?
yes, and Judge Bryce
The one that took the bench to slam all the litigants that are against the corruption.
Yeah.
I think he must be in favor of all the litigants that are for the corruption.
You would think you're taking one stance or another.
Exactly. Either with us or you with the enemy, as Bush
So,
said.
so
Exactly.
because time's always going to get short.
Sure.
So specifically, how did Judge Duckworth violate your constitutional, in your opinion?
Well, I was court ordered to have an ignition lock put in my vehicle in order to have overnight visitation with my children. I do not have a criminal history. I do not have a DUI. I do not have a driving under the influence.
So this is just a hearsay.
It was a hearsay.
No evidence.
Correct.
And then he and then this ignition lock, how much did it cost you?
You know, I'm going to give you a rough estimate because I probably should sit down and actually go through all the
Right.
bills. But for the 10 months I had it from October through June, I would say approximately $1,200.
Okay.
You had the installation fee, you had the removal fee, you had your monthly fees, and then there were a few.
Is this
other
the Las
odds and ends.
Vegas Scram Network, Las Vegas or something like that?
No, actually, I believe it was through the state of Iowa.
Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could go ahead. Basically, you could rent an ignition lock.
How embarrassing was it for you to blow into that thing
Y-
in
you
front of
know,
your kids?
Well, yeah, it was embarrassing because it got to the point where the kids wanted to blow into it.
Uh-huh.
The kids were like, "Dad, we'll do it for you." And I'm like, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah.
And there were times when literally they would jump in the front seat of the Tahoe, they would grab it and they would start blowing because they were like, "We know you haven't been drinking." It was frustrating and very dangerous at the same time.
Right.
Colleagues had actually seen me blow into it, and they're like, "Didn't
Right.
you tell us something?" And I'm like, "No, this is court ordered." It was dangerous in the fact that for this particular
Let me
brand,
just stop you right there, Major. And you know, when people get a court order and other people that are looking at it, you know, the layman, the layperson, when you get a court order, they automatically think in their mind that you're guilty of something.
correct.
Because if you got a court order to blow into this interlock thing, you're guilty of DUI. You're guilty of some kind of alcoholic violation,
Correct.
alcohol disturbing the peace. You're guilty of something,
Correct.
and it's frustrating when you're actually not, and just this one person that's called a judge decides just because the other party made a unfounded claim that you're automatically guilty.
It was very frustrating. What do you do when you have not been convicted? You do not have a record. You're court ordered that the only way you can have overnight visitation with your children is to have an ignition lock. You do what you have to do to see your children.
Right.
And that's
Very
exactly
true.
what I do. Now, I would like to go ahead and expound on this a little bit and say what the dangerous part of it was. So you pick up the ignition lock, you blow into it, it takes, 30 seconds to register, and the computer chip inside of this device will determine if you are under the legal limit. The ignition device will allow you to start the car if you blow a .024 or less. If it's a .025 or higher, you can't drive.
No mouthwash for you.
Absolutely no mouthwash. As a matter of fact, I was telling the gentleman before the show, I actually went to a dealership one time in the afternoon. It was about 3 o'clock. Coffee, donut, went to go jump in my vehicle, drive away, and it registered a .025. And I was like, is the dealership lacing their coffee with alcohol? Are they selling more cars this way? I don't know. Obviously they don't. But after you've been driving for approximately 5 minutes after you've started your vehicle and you're on the road, then you have to go ahead and you have to blow into it a second time. This is what's putting families and other individuals who are on the road in danger, because you have to blow into it again. So
While you're driving?
while you're driving. Now, I want you to think about this.
Really?
The actual breathalyzer piece that you blow into is detachable, so it can't fall off. Happened to me when I was on 95 South going to work one day. Here it is, Thursday, traffic is packed, cruising about 70, 75 miles an hour. Oops, I'm sorry, 65. And and all of a sudden, I get the alarm going off with the ignition lock saying you have to blow into it again. It will actually beep. If you don't blow into it, it beeps again. And eventually what happens is the car will actually start honking. So here I am on State Highway 95 South, and the car is honking because the piece fell off literally under the pedal,
Okay.
and I can't grab it. So anyway, long story short, people are trying to avoid me because they're like, what's going on here? This guy's honking at me.
Psycho.
I'm like,
Mhm.
right. And eventually I get to a red light, able to jump out of the car, grab the breathalyzer piece I need to blow into and blow into it. But that wasn't the only thing I was very frustrated with. I was very frustrated with I feel like this was completely unethical. I went through a 9-hour start to finish evidence hearing in June. We did have a lunch break, but
And
still.
I sat through some of your hearing.
Correct. Absolutely. I invited you, and I appreciate that support. And what frustrated me of this 9-hour evidence hearing, again, start to finish, was the fact that Judge Duckworth had to have his 45 minutes or half an hour speech at the very end, which I respected because he went through and he explained this and or explained his reasoning for his decision.
Well, he's adding his own bias.
Correct.
Right.
And what challenged me was he said, I have to follow the state legislator by saying that the most important relationship is between the parent and the child. And I'm like, really? We had to sit here for 9 hours for you to quote this one sentence out of what the state legislature wants you to follow. He denied Shannon's relocation. She wanted to go back to the state of Michigan. Keep in mind,
That was a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, but let's look at the evidence. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a residence. My child requires a pediatric neurologist. She didn't even have a name of a pediatric neurologist. You could have Googled a name in 10 seconds and said, Judge, this is, we want Dr. Don Johnson to be our pediatric neurologist. Then you go back to Michigan and say, well, we decided we didn't like him. We found someone new. I'm like, come on, the stupidity. So for the taxpayers out there, for the state of Nevada, 9 hours. Really? To have a one sentence quoted when we could have done that in 3 minutes? And then I went back for a finance hearing.
While your lawyer's making $300, $400, $500 an hour.
Absolutely.
On
Absolutely.
the other side, too.
And that's where I would say that, I called Greg Gordon, her attorney, a financial rapist, because he knows to relocate. Shannon needed a job. She needed a residence. She needed the name of the pediatric neurologist. And rather than making sure Shannon had all this information,
Just bring her in there.
yeah, just bring her in there and we'll just...
rake in the money.
Exactly. I'm like, really? That's what you're going to do? But Judge Duckworth actually said in the August financial hearing that because he denied Shannon the relocation, he would give her the house. Flat out. He actually said that. It's on
Supposed to
videotape.
sell the house and supposed to take half the proceeds, or somebody's supposed to buy somebody out. That's how it's
Right.
supposed to go. Am
Well,
I
that's-
missing something here?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm appealing to the Nevada
Did I
Supreme
miss
Court.
something? Major, did I miss something? Isn't that how it's supposed to go?
That's the way it's supposed to go. And keep in mind that Shannon was a stay-at-home mother, hardest job in the world. I don't question that. But a stay-at-home mother for 9 years. You know, while I was going
Do you
through
have to
this
pay
trial,
alimony?
I have to pay alimony. I have
How
to
much
pay
is
child. With the child support and the alimony, I'm paying just over $1,600 a month on a teacher's salary.
Wow, that's a house payment
It is.
and a
but,
car.
But Steve, I also want to point out from October through August, almost a year, I was court ordered to pay for 2 households, and that was the other point I was going to bring up that I felt was unethical.
I remember
in
that.
June-
I remember that.
Right. In June, Judge Duckworth actually said, I would give you 50-50, but you work all the time. Well, pardon my French, but hot darn, I guess that's not too bad, but you made me pay for 2 households. Okay, yeah, I'm going to coach. I'm going to teach summer school. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep my butt out of jail.
Right.
You court ordered me to pay for the mortgage, the rent, all the utilities that I historically pay for. Right. So how can I have
Maybe it was a reason not to make you see your kids. You just keep you working all the time.
Exactly. Well, it got to the point. I was pretty fortunate. I was able to bring the kids in the coaching with me. I was able to bring the kids in the school with me. You know, I really lucked out. I truly did. But you know, it really was a challenge. But the other thing I wanted to talk about too, Steve, I know we're talking about family court, but I'm a little frustrated with the Nevada Army National Guard as well. I have documented proof that I've had individuals make false statements on a top secret clearance against me. And yet, every level that I've gone through asking for an investigation based on my documentation, the Freedom of Information Act to acquire that investigation information, no one wants to investigate it. I brought it to the IG for the Army. I brought it to Governor Sandoval's office. I've recently went to the FBI.
Sounds like another show, Mr. Johnson.
It very well could be. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and call these people out. Laura Bouldry, Colin Kerr. And then I had James Walker write an email that was completely inappropriate, which actually interfered with this investigation. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you make a false statement on a top secret, exactly, perjury, send to prison.
And it's also treason too. If it's top secret clearance, if you make a false statement top secret, they could charge for treason.
Absolutely. So, make a long story short on that, my top secret clearance was suspended with no, it was not. It was suspended with the intent to revoke. And thank God I was working at the Pentagon at the time. I love the Pentagon because you make a phone call, stuff happens. You know,
We'll be out there next week,
you definitely take advantage of
or
it.
the week after next. I forget.
You know, unlike at the battalion or the brigade level where you have to write an operations order, 20-page operation order just to get a meal served, you know, at the Pentagon, you pick up the phone, people act.
So Mr. Johnson, I know you have school on Fridays. You're not like these judges that take Fridays off, that hardly make any money and take Fridays off. And I think the people that are teaching our future how to be doctors and how to be all these scientists and all, I think you guys are very, very underpaid.
Well, thank you.
Very
Thank you.
underpaid, and I think it's a shame how they treat teachers, the one that's teaching our kids. They treat you more like babysitters and educators than anything else. But the protest is Friday, like a week from yesterday. Are you gonna be there?
No, I'm sorry, I will not. I have to teach.
Hit 'em, Steve.
The American future depends on us. While you're taking care of the families,
Right.
I'll be taking care of our future.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough?
Do you have any final words, Major?
No, I just like
You
to
wanna look at
say,
the camera and do it.
I would just like to thank Veterans in Politics International. Absolutely amazing. Incredible support you've provided all the litigants. Thank you for exposing the corruption. Thank you for everything you've done for us. again, Steve has not paid me a dime. You know, he's answered my phone calls, he's returned my emails, and that's all I've asked for. And the support that we have received, I think, will truly change what has happened to people in the past, making our future a better place, and most importantly, allowing families to be families. Let moms be moms, let dads be dads, and just allow the children to know their parents. Thank you.
Well, that's Major Don Johnson. He was talking about the unethical behavior of family court judge Bryce Duckworth, who was at 93% retention. I don't think 2020 is going to show very less than that. Get him at 43% maybe. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story. And I'd like to get you back to talk about the Army National Guard. I think that might be interesting as well.
Absolutely.
This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Steven Sonnenberg with Veterans in Politics. Until next week.